Ladies, listen closely, because I'm going to tell you something that most people won't. Men will test you, not because they are trying to be cruel, but because they want to know what you're made of. They want to see if you can handle pressure, stand in your power, and stay true to yourself when things get uncomfortable. And here's the truth. How you respond to those tests will set the tone for the entire relationship. Today, I'm going to break down the subtle ways men test women, what they're really looking for, and how to make sure you pass without losing who you are. When it comes to relationships, boundaries are not just about keeping others out. They are about showing the world and yourself that you know your own value. The way you set and maintain your boundaries is one of the strongest indicators of self-respect, and men who are genuinely interested in you will notice this immediately. Boundaries are like the invisible lines that define who you are, what you will accept, and what you will absolutely not tolerate. Without them, you become an open field where anyone can walk in, rearrange things, and leave without consequence. With them, you create a space where healthy respect can grow, and where only those who value and honor your worth will remain. When a man tests you, whether consciously or subconsciously, he is often probing for where those lines are drawn. It might come in the form of teasing that crosses into discomfort, requests that push your limits, or small actions that challenge your standards. This isn't always about malice. Sometimes it's about curiosity. He wants to see if you'll stand your ground or bend under pressure. A woman who clearly communicates her boundaries shows that she is self-aware and values herself enough to protect her emotional, mental, and physical space. This is deeply attractive to a man who is looking for something real, because it signals that you won't disappear into someone else's identity, nor will you tolerate being treated poorly. Boundaries also eliminate confusion. They serve as a guideline for how you expect to be treated, which means there's less room for misunderstandings or mixed signals. Men respect clarity, especially in the early stages of dating. If you are vague or inconsistent about your limits, it opens the door to repeated boundary pushing, and you might find yourself in situations where your comfort and values are compromised. By setting a firm standard from the beginning, without hostility, without drama, you are not only protecting yourself but also inviting the right kind of treatment. The challenge for many women is that they fear boundaries will make them seem cold, difficult, or unapproachable. In reality, the opposite is true. Healthy boundaries create safety, and safety fosters intimacy. A man who truly cares for you will not be deterred by your limits. He will respect them, adapt to them, and often appreciate them because they show him that you're not willing to settle for less than you deserve. The men who are intimidated by your boundaries are often the ones who had no intention of treating you well in the first place. One of the most powerful things about boundaries is that they don't just communicate self-respect, they reinforce it. Every time you uphold a boundary, you remind yourself that you are worth protecting. And that kind of self-assurance radiates into every aspect of your relationship. It makes you less likely to tolerate disrespect, less likely to compromise your values, and more likely to attract people who are aligned with your standards. Boundaries aren't meant to be walls that keep everyone out. They're meant to be gates that let the right people in. They help filter out the ones who are looking for easy access without accountability. They help you stay true to your identity while still being open to love, connection, and growth. When a man sees that you respect yourself enough to have and enforce these boundaries, he understands that your presence in his life is a privilege, not a guarantee. That awareness changes the entire dynamic because he knows he has to show up, step up, and treat you with the care you deserve. Emotional control is one of the most powerful forms of strength you can possess, and it speaks volumes in any relationship, especially when a man is trying to understand who you are at your core. The ability to remain calm, collected, and in control of your emotions, even in situations that provoke frustration, disappointment, or excitement, shows that you have mastery over yourself. It's not about suppressing what you feel, it's about choosing how and when you express it. This kind of discipline is magnetic because it reflects maturity, self-awareness, and confidence, all of which are qualities that command respect. When a man tests you, it's not always through words or actions that are obvious. Sometimes it's subtle. He may make a remark to see if you get defensive. He might delay responding to see how you handle uncertainty, or he could push a small disagreement to see if you lose your composure. These moments are less about the specifics of the situation and more about observing how you react. If you respond with explosive anger, desperate over-explaining, or emotional spirals, it signals that you can be easily thrown off balance. On the other hand, if you respond with steadiness, listening first, choosing your words intentionally, and refusing to be baited into drama, you show that you're in control, and that control becomes a quiet but powerful form of influence. Men who are serious about building something lasting are drawn to women who can manage their emotions because it shows that challenges won't break them apart at the first sign of trouble. Relationships will always have disagreements, misunderstandings, and stressful moments. A partner who can navigate these times without turning them into chaos is invaluable. Emotional control isn't about winning arguments. It's about protecting the relationship from unnecessary damage and making decisions based on reason rather than impulse. It allows you to engage in constructive conflict instead of destructive conflict, where both sides are more focused on resolution than on being right. One of the most underrated aspects of emotional control is how it protects your personal power. People who react impulsively often end up regretting the things they say or do in the heat of the moment. That regret can erode self-confidence and give the other person the upper hand. When you have emotional control, you maintain your dignity no matter what the other person does. You keep the narrative in your hands instead of letting someone else dictate the direction of the interaction. That is incredibly attractive and commands respect because it shows that you can't be manipulated through emotional triggers. Another key benefit is that emotional control naturally creates a sense of mystery. When you don't give everything away, your insecurities, your fears, your every thought, you create a dynamic where the other person has to earn deeper access to your inner world. Men who value depth will be intrigued by this because it's rare to meet someone who is both open to connection and discerning about how much of themselves they reveal too soon. This balance keeps the relationship grounded while also maintaining an element of excitement. Developing emotional control doesn't mean you stop being vulnerable or that you hide your feelings. It means you choose the right time, place, and way to express them. You take ownership of your reactions rather than letting your reactions own you. It's a skill that not only strengthens relationships, but also improves every area of life, work, friendships, and even your own mental well-being. A man who witnesses your ability to stay composed under pressure will see you as someone he can rely on in both calm waters and storms, and that trust is the foundation of lasting respect and attraction. Consistency is one of the clearest signs of reliability and integrity, and in relationships, it is the glue that builds trust over time. It's easy to impress someone in the early stages when everything is exciting and effort comes naturally. The real test is whether you can maintain that same level of respect, care, and alignment between your words and actions as the relationship develops. Consistency tells a man that who you appear to be is who you truly are, that your values are not situational, and that your treatment of him won't change based on mood swings, temporary frustrations, or shifting circumstances. It's this steady nature that creates an environment where both people feel secure enough to be their authentic selves. When a man is genuinely interested in you, he will pay close attention to whether your behavior is stable or unpredictable. He notices if you speak about honesty and loyalty, but act in ways that contradict those principles. He observes if your kindness and interest in him are constant, or if they fade once the initial excitement wears off. Many women unknowingly fail this test because they show one version of themselves when they're trying to win someone over, but another once they feel the relationship is secured. This inconsistency signals to a man that he can't fully trust the version of you he's seeing, and trust, once questioned, is hard to rebuild. Consistency is not about perfection. It's about showing up in a way that aligns with the expectations you've set. If you are caring, be caring in both good and difficult moments. If you value communication, communicate even when you're upset or busy. If you say you appreciate honesty, be honest even when the truth is uncomfortable. This is how trust is earned, not through grand gestures, but through the daily reinforcement that your character is dependable. Men who are looking for something meaningful respect this deeply because it mirrors the kind of steadiness they also strive to provide. Another reason consistency matters so much is because it eliminates uncertainty. And uncertainty is one of the biggest sources of relationship stress. When someone never knows how you'll react or whether your interest will still be there tomorrow, it creates an undercurrent of anxiety that erodes connection. On the other hand, when your actions match your words day after day, it fosters a sense of safety. That safety doesn't make a relationship boring. It makes it strong enough to withstand challenges without breaking apart at the first sign of conflict. Consistency also reveals emotional maturity. Anyone can be loving when everything is going well, but real strength is in showing up the same way when things aren't perfect. Life will test every relationship with disagreements, external stress, and unexpected changes. Your ability to remain steady, emotionally, mentally, and behaviorally, during those times sends a powerful message that you are not swayed by temporary emotions or circumstances. It shows that your commitment and respect are anchored in principle, not in fleeting feelings. A man who sees consistency in you will be more inclined to match it because stability inspires stability. People naturally mirror the energy they receive, and when you show that you can be counted on, it encourages him to do the same. Over time, this creates a relationship dynamic that is not built on constant questioning or testing, but on mutual trust and respect. This foundation makes both partners feel valued, understood, and secure, which is exactly what allows love to not just start, but to last. Independence is one of the most attractive and empowering qualities you can bring into a relationship because it signals that your life is full, balanced, and meaningful with or without a partner. It's not about rejecting connection or refusing to rely on anyone. It's about knowing that your identity, happiness, and sense of worth are not entirely dependent on someone else's presence or approval. When a man tests you, one of the things he is looking for is whether you have a strong sense of self outside of the relationship. This matters because dependence can quickly shift from romantic to burdensome when one person feels solely responsible for the other's emotional stability or life satisfaction. Independence reassures him that you are with him because you choose to be, not because you have no other option or fear being alone. Men respect women who have their own goals, interests, and social circles because it demonstrates self-sufficiency. It means you are capable of making decisions, pursuing your ambitions, and handling challenges without needing constant rescue. It also adds richness to the relationship because you're able to bring new perspectives, experiences, and energy into the connection. When you are independent, you avoid the trap of losing your individuality to the relationship, which often leads to resentment or stagnation over time. Instead, you continue growing as a person, and that growth benefits both you and your partner. Independence also sets a natural standard for how you expect to be treated. A woman who is confident in her ability to stand on her own is far less likely to tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or neglect. She knows she has the ability to walk away from a situation that doesn't align with her values because her life is already fulfilling and supported by her own efforts. This mindset changes the entire dynamic of dating because instead of trying to keep a man by accommodating behavior that makes her unhappy, She focuses on finding someone who genuinely adds value to her already satisfying life. Another powerful aspect of independence is that it keeps the relationship in balance. When both people maintain their own sense of self and personal space, it prevents the kind of unhealthy attachment where one person becomes the other's sole source of happiness. This balance actually strengthens the bond because it replaces clinginess with appreciation. Each person can enjoy their time apart without anxiety, knowing the connection is built on choice, not obligation. This creates a dynamic where time spent together is intentional and full of energy rather than routine or suffocating. Independence also makes attraction last longer. In the early stages, mystery and excitement are fueled by curiosity about the other person's world. If you abandon your own life entirely for the relationship, that intrigue can fade quickly. But when you continue to have your own passions, work, hobbies, and friendships, there's always something new to share and discover. This keeps the relationship fresh and continually evolving, rather than letting it become stagnant. A man who values a true partnership will find your independence inspiring, not threatening. He will see it as a sign that you're with him because you genuinely want to be, not because you need someone to complete you. This kind of connection is based on mutual respect and choice, which is far more powerful than one built on dependency. Independence makes you resilient, self-assured, and grounded, and those qualities make you not only more attractive, but also far more capable of building a relationship that is strong, balanced, and lasting. Self-worth is the foundation upon which every healthy relationship is built, because it determines the way you allow others to treat you and the standards you set for yourself. When you truly value who you are, you naturally set boundaries, demand respect, and refuse to settle for less than you deserve. A man can sense whether a woman has genuine self-worth, often without her saying a word, because it shows in her posture, her choices, and the way she carries herself. When he tests you, whether intentionally or subconsciously, what he's really doing is looking for signs of how much you value yourself. If you compromise your values, tolerate disrespect, or accept treatment that doesn't align with your standards just to keep him interested, you send the message that your self-worth is negotiable. Men respect women who demonstrate that they are confident in their value regardless of who is in their life. This doesn't mean arrogance or superiority. It means knowing you are enough exactly as you are, and that your happiness, purpose, and identity are not dependent on another person's validation. When you have strong self-worth, you don't feel the need to chase someone's approval because you already approve of yourself. You also don't allow yourself to be swayed by flattery, manipulation, or temporary gestures because you measure a person's worth to you by their consistent actions, not their occasional words. Self-worth is magnetic because it communicates stability and confidence. It shows that you're not afraid to walk away from situations that don't serve you, which in turn makes people treat you with more care and respect. When you're willing to stand alone rather than remain in a relationship that diminishes you, you send a clear signal that you will not settle for anything that compromises your well-being. This mindset changes the dynamic between you and a man because he understands that being in your life is a privilege, not a right, and that he must rise to meet the standards you've set. A strong sense of self-worth also influences the energy you bring into a relationship. People who undervalue themselves often project insecurity, jealousy, and neediness, which can create unnecessary tension. On the other hand, when you know your value, you bring calm, confidence, and emotional stability to the connection. You don't feel threatened by his independence or success because you see yourself as an equal partner, not someone competing for worthiness. This allows for a healthier, more balanced relationship where both people are free to grow without fear of losing themselves. Another important aspect of self-worth is how it shapes your communication. When you value yourself, you express your needs and expectations clearly without fear of being seen as too much or too demanding. You don't shrink yourself to make others comfortable, and you don't hide your truth to avoid conflict. Instead, you trust that the right person will respect and appreciate your honesty. A man who truly wants a strong, lasting relationship will be drawn to this openness because it shows both courage and authenticity. Self-worth is not something that develops overnight. It's built through the choices you make every day. Every time you choose to honor your values, walk away from disrespect, or invest in your own growth, you reinforce the belief that you are deserving of love, respect, and happiness. This quiet confidence doesn't just attract the right kind of man, it also filters out the wrong ones, because those who seek to control, diminish, or exploit, you will quickly realize they have no place in your life. When you live with genuine self-worth, you become the kind of woman who doesn't just inspire respect from others, you inspire it from yourself.